Hello, everyone. Today, I want to talk about the unfortunate event that took place in Texas, where a deranged individual went up to the school and shot and massacred 19 kids, along with two adults. I first want to send my condolences and prayers out to the victims of the Texas mass shooting, excuse me. Which is just shows is just unfortunate. It's it's a tragedy that no parents have to go through. That no one that has to witness, no one has to experience. It's unfortunate. It just tells you how far we have come, how far we are from reaching where we need to be as a society. I want to first say that I have an issue that I like to address when it comes onto the media and how they keep promoting these mass shooters and put them out there in the public as if they're some type of celebrity. Things would be a whole lot better if we focus more on the victims of these massacres, of these mass shootings, instead of the actual perpetrators. The media has a tendency to put the name of the shooter in the public eyes. We find out we are more likely to find out who the shooter is, what's their name, what's their ethnicity, or their background, what race they're from. Basically, they put the shooter information out there first before we find out about the victims, and the media needs to do a better job in promoting the shooter. And honestly, we shouldn't even know who the shooter is. We shouldn't know where he came from, what's his name. We don't know. We should not know how he look, because this gives more reason for others to want to be copycats. Because they're like saying to themselves, okay, if the media is putting their information out there of the killer and they become famous, even though they end up dying, they're going to be remembered in history as doing something as satanic as what they did. Why can't I do it? I mean, I'm going to get famous. Even if I may not live to see it, my name is going to be remembered in the history book. And I'm telling you, it's a sick way of seeing things, but the media needs to stop putting the killer's information out. Like, as soon as a mass shooting happens, they want to find out who was responsible for committing that atrocious act. Well, they want to know what led to this person carrying out these acts of atrocity. And we as a society like to glorify killing, and the media does glorify killings, and people are drawn to negativity more than they are to positivity. And honestly, the media needs to do a better job in not promoting that information about the killers. And I also want to say that schools need to be able to, especially the teachers, the principal, people who work at the schools, they should be given the opportunity to bear arms, because these killers like to target areas where people are the most vulnerable. They go up, they go into churches and shoot a whole bunch of people. They go into supermarkets. They go into movie theaters. They go into schools. They know where to target. They know what places to go, and they understand that these places are gun-free zones. People are not going to have weapons on them. They're not going to have the capacity to defend themselves. So they're basically vulnerable. They're sitting ducks, and these killers know who to target, because they're not going to be brave enough to go walk up into a military base and shoot up people, because they know they're going to get hit. They know they're not going to they're going to get pushback. They're going to get what's coming their way. But they could go to a place where they know it's innocent people there that are not going to be able to protect themselves, and they're going to end up being targeted. So honestly, it needs to be a point where these places where a large group of people gather, like supermarkets, movie theaters, um, churches, schools. Like, they need to be armed civilians. Like, they need to arm the teachers. They need to arm the workers. Like, or they need to have like military personnel that are patrolling these premises. Like, have like armed military personnel like at the entrance, the main entrance, or inside the building, but like just having some form of security where it would deter some of these shooters, because like these shooters know where to target. They're very calculating what they do. Like the mass shooter that shot up in that supermarket and killed 10 black people. He was very calculated in what he was doing. Like he purposely knew which area to target. He knew that that area was not gonna be able. The people there, they were vulnerable. They were not gonna have the capacity to defend themselves, and it was a very planned out, calculated move. And it's unfortunate because like these people didn't ask, they didn't deserve any of this stuff, and people and they were basically in a very vulnerable position, right? And so it's sick. It's messed up how we keep allowing the same thing. Not we, but the government and people who are elected official keep allowing the same thing to happen over and over again. There's no reform that goes on. Um, we as a citizen needs to be able to defend ourselves, because we are not the ones that's breaking the law. We're not the ones that are going out there harming other people. But at the same time, there needs to be more strict reform when it comes on to background checks that prevents deranged, sick, demented people from having access to these weapons. Like, for instance, if this person shows a pattern of having very twisted ideologies towards a set group of people, or they just behave in ways that is just abnormal, and they show they have the tendency to commit acts of violence, there needs to be a law set up in place where those individuals have access to certain weapons, and they need to be more strict background check on people who have showed in the past that they have a history of committing crime, or they have the tendency to commit acts of violence. So there definitely need to be rules set in place to prevent situations like this happening again, because those who do not learn from their past are destined to repeat it. And I'm seeing nothing has changed when it comes down to how these lawmakers are deciding what to do when it comes on to these mass shootings. And the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. This is actually the little definition of what insanity is. It sounds cliche, but this really is a true definition of insanity. Because these lawmakers, the you got the left and the right. Each side are divided when it comes on to what should change when it comes on what should change with the reform, the gun reform, the just how they're gonna be able to prevent these guns from getting into the hands of the wrong people. Like, there's nothing set in place to kind of really make a difference. And this is is insanity, because if people think that this is gonna be a one and done thing, they're making a sad mistake. And a lot of these Republicans and Democrats, they're doing certain things just to get votes, and they're not really doing it because they really care about the their American people. Honestly, they're doing this just for political reasons, and that's why I don't really support any type of elected officials, whether they're on the left or the right, because at the end of the day, they're all doing it for they all have their own hidden agendas. And what needs to change is honestly the way our government system is set up. The left and the right, each side is gonna be divided when it comes on to gun reform. Like, do the citizens have the right to bear arms? Each side is gonna have one side of opinion to, you know, even if the Democrats all agreed upon the fact that there need to be stricter gun laws when it comes down to who have access to gun, the Republicans are going to be opposed to that. So why can't we just get rid of the whole entire system, just destroy it? Like the the real issue, in my honest opinion, when I look at it, is the government, is the system itself is corrupt. The political juggernaut, so to speak, the branches, the elected branches, everything to the core of this society is corrupt. It's not. There's a lot of inconsistencies. You know what I mean? And when it comes on to like guns, people who are criminals, they're gonna find a way to have access to these weapons regardless. If the Democrats are more strict with guns and they prevent certain people from having access to guns, what I honestly believe needs to change is that these people who work on these premises, like the individuals that are the law abiding citizens, those people who are vulnerable should have the right to defend themselves and their loved ones, because some of these shootings could have been prevented if for instance, in this situation, if it was a teacher was armed and was trained how to shoot a weapon, a teacher should there should be what do you call it, a requirement for teachers to have some training on how to use a weapon like a pistol, how to shoot it, how to respond in situations like this, because this is going to happen again. This is not going to be the first and the last time something like this happened. So why not allow teachers the ability to be trained on how to use a weapon correctly? Give them a license. Give them the freedom to carry bear arms, like school teachers, principals, like people that work in schools should have the right to bear arms. Like, because imagine if a teacher was trained on how to use a gun and could respond in a quick amount of time, a lot of lives could have been saved on that tragedy, on that unfortunate day when these kids were killed. Unfortunately, but no, this tragedy should have never happened. It should have never happened. You know what I mean? And if teachers are trained on how to be armed, and they know how to use a weapon, these mass shooters won't have the balls to go out there and just shoot up schools, man. We won't see any of these mass shootings happening, not even close to the frequency that they're happening now. Not just schools, of course, but movie theaters. Have a person that's trained how to use a weapon. Like people who work the movie theaters, like someone should be trained on how to use a weapon properly, and they should have license to bear arms. Um, Someone, for instance, churches, people at churches should have the right to bear arms. If the pastor or somebody that the deacon, or someone should have the ability to defend their loved ones and their friends and their family. So I just want to say that, yeah, there's definitely need to be things that have to be. There definitely be things that needs to change when it comes on to how people should be able to defend themselves. And the mental illness is a big part of it too at the same time. But there's a lot of victimhood mindset going on where people feel like they're the victim of everything. So that gives them the right to go out there and kill other people. And people like to be play the victim role, and they don't like to take responsibility for their own self. And I don't support schools